Sarah Cooperman. I'm the CEO of SCW Fitness Education and the Mania Conferences. I always forget to introduce myself, and I'm here with some wonderful people. I'm going to start with Brian O'Rourke, who's sitting to my left, and I never know which way to point. I always feel like I'm sitting here on one of those Family Feud commercials. I have no idea. He's the CEO of Core Health and Fitness, leading companies in innovation and fitness solution, including brands like Stairmaster, Nautilus. He was over 12 years as the president of the Fitness Industry Technology Council. I have a very funny story about that. And he serves as the operating director of Viteri Ventures. Did I do that right, Brian?
Viteri,
okay,
yeah,
very
fine.
cool.
Yeah.
And SCW Fitness won one of the Fit C awards. And Brian, who loves to text, sent me a text message that said, Sarah, I had nothing to do with you winning. And I try not to have us win, but it was very complimentary and I appreciated that. And then I've also got Andrew Nelson, who's joining us, who was recommended by my dear friend Blair McCaney. And Andrew is a full stack developer and AI integrator, and he has worked with MXM to tackle problems, complex business challenges in diverse fields. He's worked in multiple industries. He spent 30 years in fitness, and he's dedicated to creating technology solutions that empower businesses to connect better with their customers. And then we also have a friend of mine, Brandy Clark. We love Brandy because she's always on panels with us at the Mania convention. She's really a marketing and sales coach and mentor for fit pros, helping them build the financially successful, sex businesses of their future. Sorry about that. With over 25 years in the fitness industry, she has worked behind the scenes with specialty training, and she really tries to help people build a six-figure training business, making more money to help more people. And what's really interesting about Brandy is she works a lot with fit pros to help them with their text messaging, their emailing, and how to integrate with their clients. So I love that. Now, I had the great pleasure of listening to Ted Vicky, who doesn't want to be called Dr. Ted Vicky, but I'm doing it anyway because his mother would kill me. She'd roll over in his grave. Anyway, he's a globally recognized expert in fitness technology with over 30 years of experience. He's the founder and CEO of Fitwell, and he empowers fitness brands to leverage technology effectively. He's also a professor at Tulane University, and he innovates in the tech space with entrepreneurship. He authored, you got to show us the book, Ted, The Fitness Professional's Guide to Chat GPT. It was released in August of 2024, so it's pretty new, and it's available on Amazon. And I am basically in love with ChatGPT. And what we're going to talk about in this webinar today is harnessing AI for health club profitability. We want to look at social media automation, CRMs, AI data-driven, blah, blah, blah. A lot of things. What I'd like you guys to do is click on the chat box. You know where it is. Click on it, please. And I want you, please, to type in the state or country that you're from. And I want to make sure you know that you can use this, because if you have questions, we want to be able to answer them. So if you would open your chat box and just type it in. We've got people from Georgia, from Florida, from California, Kentucky, San Diego, Canada, Washington, Minneapolis, all over. Okay, which is great. What I want to know is, I hope nobody's experienced a hurricane. That's been the most devastating thing we've experienced. So I'm going to start with you, Brian, because I love to start with controversy. Here we go. How can yeah, really, because I'm here to annoy you. How can AI-driven marketing strategies boost revenue growth for health clubs?
Well, like any technology tool, there's good and bad to it. You have to know what questions to ask. So I think that the panelists would probably generally agree with the idea that you want to start simple. I think Ted's book, for example, has some great prompts. The thing about this tool, whether you're using it for marketing strategies or otherwise, and I'll give you a couple quick examples, is that, learning how to ask better questions and learning how to prompt the system in a better way is really one of the keys to leveraging the capabilities of the technology. So let me give you some examples. Let's say you have 5 various key cohorts or personas that your facility serves. You can do a focus group. You can say, here's my membership makeup, and I want to do a focus group on the services and learn more about our clients. And you can actually sit down just like you're hiring a high-end marketing firm to do a focus group of your clients and have ChatGPT identify the personas, know who they are, and then you can sit down and ask some questions about your facility to learn what they want. Other things you can do, of course, with certain capabilities, like with Dolly and others, as we were talking about earlier, is create content. So you can say, I want to do a picture about a promotional ad that we're going to do. You can actually upload examples and have this thing spit out variations of content you can post. So there's all kinds of things you can do with the tool. But I think more important than anything is start simple, get some resources for some prompts to teach you how to ask it questions.
Now Ted, I'm jumping to you right away because we started with ChatGPT, but I was very interested in how I can use ChatGPT for my business. And like Brian said, just start with something and you can ask it questions.
Absolutely. And there are all these other bells and whistles that are out there now. Start simple. I use ChatGPT because I think it's the easiest to use, and it's a real simple. You tell it what role you want it to be. I want you to be Steve Jobs, the marketer. You then give it the task. I want you to create a blog post about golf fitness. And then you give it the format. I want it to be a blog post. You hit enter, it'll do it for you. That's the simplicity of this. Once you get that, you can change it and say, okay, I want you to be Elon Musk, or I want you to create this little bullet point list. So the key here is to start simple, because if you don't, you're going to get confused and all this is going to go over your head. Start simple. In fact, Sarah, I was working on a blog post. Here's what I do now. I write the blog post, and then I say, I want you to create an image based on this blog post.
Okay.
And now I'm not using images from the web anymore. I'm actually creating it, and I say I want it in the Pixar image. I want it to look like Charlie Brown or anything like that. So if you go to my website now, you're going to see I use a lot of Pixar images because it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And I love that idea with the blog post. I was asked to write an article on pickleball training. So I threw some stuff in there. I said, I need an article on pickleball training and please do not plagiarize. And I got this great article and I said, wait, I want to see what it's like to do pickleball training in the pool. And it did it. And I was like, oh my God, I saved myself. It felt like days of time. Now, Ted, I'm going to hit on you one more time. Is with ChatGPT, is it better to go with the free model or would you go with 4.0? And what about this, that it's, I remember I was asking it something and it spit out something about Bailey's Total Fitness. And I was like, hello, it's gone. So is it staying up to date? Are there other resources that we can use? And how do we verify that it's being current?
I think you can look at it this way, Sarah. Think of a library with all the books there. That is what ChatGPT is now. Now you have the other resources like the magazines that come in every month. That's the extra piece that some of these other ones claim to have. But ChatGPT now is connected to the internet, so it can find things out. But I want to say one thing, Sarah. All these AI models hiccup. If you ask ChatGPT where I got my PhD, it said Connecticut. I've never been to the state of Connecticut. So if you're going to use this, this is not going to replace you as a fitness professional. It's a tool, just like a dumbbell or treadmill. It's a tool. You have to review it. Think of it as your intern. You would never send out an email without checking before. So, and you can also ask for citations. So if you see something that looks funny, say, where's the citation for that? And it'll tell you what the citation is.
That's very interesting. That's great.
Can I add on this?
Yes, please, Brandy.
I think if we even just go a little more basic with this, probably most gym owners out there don't even have a marketing strategy in place. right?
Yep,
Like
that's
they're
right.
literally operating their businesses on a monthly basis, right? They're trying to get payroll. They're just operating to the point where they can cover their overhead, maybe pay themselves a little bit more at the end of every month. So if we're looking at what their objectives are, which are really probably to increase their revenue, get more members, get more people in the door and convert them to personal training, maybe create more sales as front desk, more people into kid care, whatever it is, right? All of these revenue streams, their marketing strategy is often the last thing that they're going to think about at the end of the day, even though they really need more money and more sales. So if we really just go meta with this, you really could just jump into ChatGPT and you could say, how can ChatGPT help me create a marketing strategy? I am a gym with 300 members in Duluth, Minnesota, or I have 72 members in Duluth, Minnesota. My ideal client or my typical, the age of I'm trying to say here is the typical age of my member is 52, female. What kind of content will it respond to? And will you create me a 30-day plan for marketing? Or it's something like that, right? The other thing that we can really think about is if you're a gym owner, you're strung out, right? Like you're wearing every hat. You're the janitor. You're opening the front desk. Sometimes when your front desk people are, sick, or what happened to me one time was he got a DUI and was thrown in the slammer. So I got to go open the gym. So you don't have the time, right? So you can also take ChatGPT and you can create, this is what we like to tell our clients to do, is create one live video and then plug it into ChatGPT and say, make me 2 emails, make me 5 social media content. If it's a live video, you can even have it split it up and snippet it down, and then you're omnipresent. You can be on every channel and it feels like you're creating content nonstop, but you've taken one piece of content. So if you're in a facility right now, or if you're a personal trainer trying to do something online and you don't even have a marketing strategy, that's where you need to start. And maybe the question is, what is a marketing strategy? Here's who I am. What is an actual marketing strategy? Will you help me create a marketing strategy? And ChatGPT or any of these other AI tools are going to spit it out for you. Just a checklist, and you can just pick and choose what you want and make it work for you. But just really starting with understanding what that is, because it doesn't have to be so big. It can be small. It can be something that you can implement and do, especially now with all of these tools. So just getting a little bit more meta and maybe even asking it, what should I do? What is a marketing strategy? Create one for me, and then have it create the pieces that it suggests you do.
Yeah. And Andrew, you were talking about how it can be predictive maintenance powered by, AI. Can you, chat on that for us?
Yeah, sure. So, maybe on Brandy's bit, just kind of back that up a little bit and say, yes, it's really cool to think about how simple you can start. There's no reason you can't ask ChatGPT how to use ChatGPT, which is just a funny thing to think about. But that's a great point she made. And I think that, ChatGPT has really democratized AI. I'm from the days of building my own models and with classic AI. So it's very cool to see that anyone can use this at any level and just boil it all the way down. So yeah, talking about, operational insights, particularly around maintenance and equipment. A lot of industries are ahead of this. For example, in your gym, if you have enough square footage, you probably have a pool pack and you probably have an HVAC system. And I guarantee you they're running AI to know whether your air filter needs to be changed, whether the pumps are running efficiently, what's going on in that system. Bring that down to the gym level. It's all the same components. And you've got companies like EcoFit going out now and putting trackers on equipment to measure its usage, measure how heavily it's being used. And then now integrating with that equipment's hardware to even get diagnostic data about what's happening in the control boards and the motors. All of that combined in AI, and I know this isn't a ChatGPT conversation because it doesn't have that data, but from the standpoint of saving money or being ahead of maintenance issues so that you don't have as many out of order signs around your club, which are definitely going to be an experience, detractor. Really useful information, and AI is just getting better and better. And the more these tech companies move into this space, and I say tech companies, I really mean equipment companies that are becoming tech companies. Brian's probably been in that space. So, they're really becoming technology. And because of that, they're communicating with each other. They're communicating with a centralized data store, and they can even tell you, I'm getting sick, come over here, fix something. It'll save you a lot of money because you're fixing something that's not expensive. It'll save you a lot of money because your members aren't unhappy about their favorite treadmill being offline when they show up.
That's great. And Brian, you were talking about how you used ChatGPT to put information on other bikes in, and you were figuring it. Can you share about that?
What? I'm sorry. Oh, no, you mean the treadmill thing I was talking about
the
earlier?
treadmill, the treadmill thing. When you're trying to figure out what's the best.
Yeah, the design aspect, we've been playing with this for a while in our business, is that, you can upload various versions of equipment into different AIs that specialize in rendering imagery. And you can put in, all the different treadmills that you like and start iterating. Show me a design that's like this, show me a design, change this, change that. And it's going to render your designs. In fact, engineering overall in every aspect of industry is going to increasingly move to a digitized world where product development is going to be greatly changed by these tools, because the traditional way of rendering with humans is going to be made obsolete at some point. It's already starting to happen. So we're already using that as a creative tool to look at different iterations of various equipment that we make.
Yeah, and we can look at that, like we could take our quote unquote competitors in our neighborhoods, throw them in and evaluate what's my niche? Where do I fit in? Who should I compete with? What's working for them? Sometimes you'll be surprised what you learn. And
sure.
And Ted, you were talking about writing, getting ChatGPT, because you are the expert here. Writing a function for personal trainers. Exactly. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I think one of the things in the fitness industry, we are a little tech averse and we're probably a little behind the times when it comes to some industries. So I wanted to create something that personal trainers, fitness pros, gym owners could go just to try it out. So I created something called My Fitness Prompt. Okay, here's what I did. I thought back, I ran the fitness center at the White House for 11 years. I remember our onboarding process. So there was a form and asked 6 questions. What do you like doing? What have you done in the past? What equipment do you have access to? So I created 6 questions that I want answers to. I then went off to the certification organizations that are around, ACE, NASM, ACSM, and I took what they use to train their personal trainers on creating workouts. So I trained the model to do that. So now what happens is you as a personal trainer go to myfitnessprompt.com. You say, here are the answers to the questions. I want you to create a 4-week workout for my client, Brandy. You click the button, and I'm not kidding, within 45 seconds, it creates a workout for you. Now, I've been a certified trainer since 1994. I looked at it, and I can tell you that if I was still at the White House today, I would use that workout that I just created. It's that good.
Yeah.
But I don't, and I agree with you that people just don't seem to be using it. I mean, I have a difficult email I have to answer, and all I want to do is scream at my screen. And I'm like, I block the email and I throw it into chat. And I'm like, how can I answer this professionally and remain friendly? And boom, and it pulls it out. But sometimes if I read an email, I'm just going to tell you this. I've got my creative director on here. He has a heart attack if it says right at the top of the email, I hope you are well. I mean, there's certain triggers that I just want to go, oh dear, I know where it came from. And Brian, you're laughing because it happens.
Well, Sarah, it does.
Here's what you can do. I'm in different realms. I'm in an academic realm. I'm a presenter, and I also do other work. I've actually trained ChatGPT to write like me as an academic. So if I'm writing to my students at Tulane, they get Dr. Vicky. If I'm writing a LinkedIn post, it's a little more informal, and I say, now write like Ted. And it does that. You can actually go in and say, I don't want you to say the word conclusion. That's a dead giveaway for ChatGPT. I can say, and one of my pet peeves is if you talk to ChatGPT on personal training, it will put nutrition in. And I'm a person that believes we have to stay in our scope of practice. Nutrition is not something I talk about. So in my prompts, I say, do not ever mention the word nutrition. And it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. And it remembers that.
That's great. And
we do the same thing. We do the same thing with our emails, right? Because I have a very particular way of speaking in my emails, and I want the audience to know that I have written it, but I don't write all of our emails. So we've trained ChatGPT, and my strategic coordinator will go in and take an email, and I'll be like, make it sassier, make it wittier, make it, all of these things. Like, and after a while, it starts to learn the style and how you want it to produce content. Then of course, I'm going to say this all the time. You just don't copy and paste it. You really have to read it. You have to check it, and you have to be you still, right? Because it's never going to be able to completely duplicate you, but it can do a really dang good job of helping you be a better version of you.
Right.
And Brandy, what about the texting? Because I know you have a system that can do automatic texting to people.
Yeah. So our system it's a CRM, and one of the components is the email marketing and the text messaging, right? The SMS messaging. And especially nowadays, everybody wants responses quickly, right? We don't want to wait. So you can include AI, and there's many apps that are out there, and you can even create your own. It's not that difficult. It's not our zone of genius, but it's really not that difficult. And you can create an AI integration with your texting platforms where it will respond for you quickly, right? So that your clients or your members or whoever it is can get answers right away, like they expect. Like, people just expect immediate right now. So you can integrate it into your texting, and they can get those answers right away. And they really literally are getting a great answer. It's, a couple of years ago, if you were talking to a bot or a machine, you would know, because it would say, and we were talking about this in our, when we were pre-gaming here.
Yeah.
It would say, oh, I see you mentioned the word CEC. Are you A, looking to get CECs, B, need a copy of your CECs, or C, something else? And then you'd have to choose A, B, or C. Now it can go in and actually read your question as if it was a human, understand what you're wanting, and give the answer, but you have to train it to where the answer is, right? So there is some work that you have to do if you want to incorporate something like this into your business. So you have to train it, right? But it can save a lot of time. And these younger kids nowadays, they're coming up and they're just all into it. But us old folks like me, I'm like, I don't get it. But the 20-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, it's just so natural to them. And they're actually replacing Google with ChatGPT. Like, a lot of them don't even Google anymore. I'm like, what do you mean you don't Google? They chat it, right? They go in and they chat GPT the answer. It's like their Google. So it's the landscape's completely changing, and we need to get plugged in and keep up, or we'll get left behind.
Yeah. And I wonder how that's affecting online training versus the live training in a gym. And I always wonder, everybody thought we were just going to bounce back after COVID. It is not a bounce. It's a crawl on a belly like a snake to pull everybody back in. Now, Brian, you just recommended a couple really great TikTokers and other platforms. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, these are very credible. Sabrina Romanoff is phenomenal, and she just launched a product called Blotto, Blotato, which is a great content generator tool. And she has some great newsletters, all premium stuff, but it's very high quality. Another gentleman is Connor Greenan, who's phenomenal as well. So if you want to follow those on the various platforms, I think they're both on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. They're very, very credible. And it's a way, if you're kind of flirting with the idea of these tools, it's a good way to kind of get lots of very specific use cases and teaching you how to think. It's the tool itself is one thing, but the thing that's very interesting about it, to Brandy's point and to others' points of earlier, is it's really changing the way we think about using the tool that's more critical than the tool itself. I can't tell you, I've advised a lot of brands in my life and individuals. And, years ago, it was always, you're asking me this question, why aren't you Googling it? I mean, for God's sakes, now it's going to be, you're asking me this question, why aren't you chatting that with an AI, for God's sake, because that's how powerful the tools are.
Yes, but okay. But what happens when we take this further? And Ted, this may be a question for you, but I've got 4 kids. And I mean, I made them learn how to write. I learned how to write. It's what I do. I wrote a book. It's who I am. And now you don't have to know how to write. So are we doing a disservice by not training kids? I mean, kids don't even learn script anymore in school. That happened years ago. But what are we doing? Are we training people not to think? All right, I'm getting a little out of my league here on this question, but
I think that's a deep question. I don't think any of us want to answer.
I can answer it.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. So every technology emerges to solve opportunities and problems. And there's always going to be consequences that are unanticipated. And the next wave of technology serves to address those. So think of it as a pyramid. I mean, look back at the printing press. And, Harari's recent book, Nexus, that came out and talked about social information networks. And the reason that the witch trials and the witch hunts happened in medieval times was once the printing press came out, people could disperse a lot of information. What we're seeing with fake news today and social media and all this stuff is a similar dynamic. These happen. And so it's the next realm of technology that will fix those problems. And so you have to balance. There's no perfect world. But the other piece of this, I would say, is that what is going to happen is what is human is going to become more and more valuable. It's not knowing the rote data. It's understanding how to empathize, how to help motivate, how to do a bunch of things using these things as tools. And they're never going to replace, they're actually going to accentuate what is human and make that more important.
And but it's the funniest thing. I go to dinner with my kids, okay? And they're all boys. So they've got their hands in their lap and their hands are going like this. I'm like, what's going on down? They're all texting each other. They're sitting at a table together at dinner and they're texting each other.
Sarah, yes. I'm sorry to tell you, but if you're not involved in that, it's probably about you.
What a surprise.
The mom.
And Ted, what do you think about that? Where do you think education is going and where are we going to go with our creativity? And again, we'll end this conversation pretty quickly because then we got to do a video. Danielle is going to do a video for our sponsor, Zen Planner. But where do you think this is going?
Sarah, you're trying to get me in trouble with my universities, but here's what I think. Anybody on this call could Google and find out the classes that kids at Harvard are taking right now, and you could probably actually get the same textbooks and the same probably courses, because they're available. So now the question becomes: are universities teaching, or are they printing diplomas?
Right.
So I think that higher education, I think it's too expensive. We're getting folks in the fitness industry with $60,000-$70,000 in debt from a college degree. You don't need it anymore. Look at some of these engineers at Google, never went to college and they're getting all these certifications. So I think it's an opportunity to take a step back and look what we're doing. There are certain degrees that people should go to college for. I think my doctor, I want to make sure he went to med school. But there are other ones that perhaps this is going to be a nexus. This is going to be a way to change the way that we look at higher education.
Yes, and more than any industry, is healthcare and education are both going to be tremendously disrupted by these technologies, and they need to be disrupted. So.
And how is this affecting health clubs? You look here. I went into Lifetime the other day, and everybody's on their phone doing their own workout on an app. So they're paying. Definitely for the service to get a scheduled workout program. And Andrew, you're nodding here. I'm going to call on you. They're getting the workout program, but they're using the gym. So people still are going back. Where is this headed?
Yeah. Well, in regard to the previous conversation, just to segue a little bit, is that we talk about AI and we talk about GPTs. They're generative, right? They're designed to create content. But they're only creating content from content they've seen before. They're not creating any novel content. So if you talk about a human's creating novel content, Brian's right that humans are solving the problems of the future that AI is creating today. AI is not going to solve those problems. AI is only going to make them worse because if we didn't keep feeding it new content as humans, it would be a black hole and eventually fold in on itself in boring content, the same answer every time. And that's what will happen. That's the technical answer to what you have to be careful of with this technology. But as it is, because we're all contributing, it's very good at generating content. And so let's talk about, generating content for, whatever service it is you have in your business. If you're working on workout plans, for example, right? That's a great way to go in and have a pool of so much data, as Ted mentioned, the university data is all out there, all the science, all the research. It's ChatGPT has predictive algorithms to give you answers to that. So whether you're a member or whether you're an operator, utilizing that generative content to say, I need a workout plan that fits in 15 minutes, or I need a workout plan that fits in an hour, or I have this disability, or I have this pain. It's going to be great at creating that for anybody. So it can enhance your personal trainer's ability to increase sales by being better at matching what they're creating or what ChatGPT is creating on their behalf for your members. But it can also, enable members to come in more informed about what they need in the gym as well.
Okay,
Well,
that's great.
That's also been, I mean, if we think about the history of what's been going on, like when YouTube came out, so right now all of our clients can go and just get their own workouts, right? They can all really, anybody could go spit out a workout on ChatGPT if they wanted, but so we get to, they're not going to do it though, right? Bottom line, they're not going to do it without the accountability, without the trainer there, right? That's why they pay. 15 years ago or 20 years ago, however long it was, we were having the same conversation about YouTube. Oh my gosh, they're going to be able to go get all these free workouts on YouTube. Sure, they can, but they won't, right? Or they think they will, they still won't. So this is still an opportunity for health clubs and gyms and people to see these people on their phone looking at these apps and things like that and being like, that's somebody who wants some results. I need to start a conversation with this person because that's somebody who's invested in what they're doing, but they're probably not going to get the results. They're not going to stay consistent, yada, yada, yada. We need to pull them into our ecosystem and upsell them into our personal training. So it's just about training your staff to identify opportunities for sales. And I mean, it goes so deep, but that's just the first layer that I can think of just based on this.
All right, and I'm going to ask Daniela to please play our video from Zen Planner. Thank you.
Is your fitness business ready for a boost? Zen Planner is here to help. Our software simplifies success by handling the heavy lifting in your operations. Designed by industry experts, we provide tailored solutions that let you focus on what matters most. Fuel brand loyalty and turn your passion into profit with our lead-generating tools. Zen Planner supports your business journey every step of the way. Visit zenplanner.com today.
Yeah, speaking of systems, right, you guys? And we really do appreciate Zen Planner being one of our sponsors. It really helps us. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. Ted, can you share what you think the next step is in AI, or where you see that these applications are going to lead us for the health club industry? How can our owners leverage this and grow their profits?
Well, I think the first thing I would do, something Andrew said, if I owned a gym today, I'd make sure I had good Wi-Fi. I'd make sure, because people are in there using it. But there's a word before trainer. It's personal, and I think we all have to remember that. These are tools. Look, there've been tools around. Think of the card catalog. Think of Google when it first came out. These are tools. I don't think we need to get overly excited about it. This is just the generation of technology that we're in today. Try it. Sit down. Try it. Play with it. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I will say this: I don't think AI is going anywhere, and I think that you need to have an understanding of it so you can plan either to use it or plan not to use it. But I think you need to at least understand it so you can make that decision.
And I think what has to start first is the owners and managers need to make the time to stop working just in the business, but give themselves some some time to work on the business, because in the long run, that time spent is going to really help them be far more efficient in the future, and they'll save more time in the long run. Brian, do you have any support on that, comments on that? I know you love to talk about owners and how efficient they are at running their businesses.
So it's not, listen, it's any business today. You have so much noise going on. And I reference Brandy's comments of earlier when she talked about having strategy. Even that is, you got to be very careful. You have to know what questions to ask. As an analogy, it would be, let's imagine I've been sitting on the sofa for the last 2 years and I couldn't even walk around the block without being winded. Well, talking about how you're going to, use techniques to run a faster marathon isn't necessarily going to be a very relevant conversation. So, I think, the first question you need to ask yourself is, what business are you in? What are you trying to do? And then, until you have those kind of basic thinking, and you can use ChatGPT for those things, but I'd also say talk to someone that's been there and done it well. And then, make sure you're thinking about the right things. And then, when you start doing that, then using these tools, it can get better and better as you go. But thinking that you're going to jump right into the fray of the tool and start solving complicated problems is a reach. Don't think that. You use very basics. And as I said before, it's about really training your mind in how to use the tool, and more than it is. So it's symbiotic in the sense that the more you use it, the more you use good prompts, read Ted's book, get some other resources, it's going to help that effort be iterative and cumulative in its benefit. In our firms, I've been using these tools for a year and a half. So, if compared to where we were now, to compare where we are in, it's like night and day. So don't have too high an expectation, start slow, and understand the right context to begin.
Yeah, and Andrew, you're nodding here. How?
Well, it's for me, it's people first always. I have a friend of mine, Grant Gamble, wrote a book, The Affinity Principle, and that's what it's about, is people first. And I think that, we talked about personal training, staying personal, and Brandy mentioned that people start to see that it's AI responding to them, right? All these tools should be built on the people in our club. And you mentioned the operator having more time on their hands. Yeah, if you can save time, it lets you go out on the floor. It lets you engage with your members. All of that's what builds a long-term relationship that binds that member to your business and increases retention. We're dealing with it at MXM with our engagement platform, which is, yes, AI is helping us a ton with detecting what sentiment is, what the themes that are happening in your club are. But the reality is everything comes back to a conversation with a human. And you want to make sure that the person knows that human's on the other side of that, even if sometimes you're responding quickly with AI, because I don't want to text you and wait 3 hours. I want to text you and maybe all I need are your hours of operation, or maybe all I need is a price, and I can get that. There's just, as I said, people first. I think AI should be a tool, and that was said as well. It's a tool, not a replacement for your people and not a replacement for your members.
Yeah, I completely agree. We keep our phone lines open, and that's what we're doing. How are we going to market? Like, I had a few questions in there on social media. How are we going to market? Is it really going to be, are we going to stick with email? Are we going to go into more text messaging, more social media? Where do you guys see that?
That's a big question. It's a challenge because of a few things. First, social media is changing rapidly, in multiple ways, and it's not good. It's going to become much more like television. And what you have is monopolies that are controlling what they're showing people. And increasingly, there's a gap between what you used to do in social and retargeting what you're capable or not capable of doing now. And as people who have been in digital for a while are learning, the cost is going up, 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 and the ability to really understand what's going on. They just want you to give it to their algorithm. Of course, they're not doing it to help you. They're telling you they are, but they're doing it to get more money in their pocket. I think guerrilla marketing is going to reemerge in the coming years, as you've got to press against popularity and really, cost per acquisition and economic realities. And it's an arbitrage play, and as major brands continue to move into digital, they're going to squeeze out smaller businesses. Now, it doesn't mean that you're still going to want to do things like basic things like Google Maps and your Google profile. And yeah, you want to do those things. And digital is still going to be a major component. It's just not going to have the kind of impact for the price that it has had in the last 5 to 10 years. So it's changing a great deal. And people should watch out for it because you all know, customer acquisition costs keep going up, 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 up. It's getting more and more expensive to acquire customers with digital.
Ted, I saw you nodding during that. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm excited to be part of the fitness industry today because of all the things that we've talked about here in the last hour and where we go. Because at the end of the day, I got in the fitness industry to help others. And I use all these tools to be able to do that. And to what Andrew said, to be on the floor, talking to people, make that personal connection. Because at the end of the day, that's why I'm in this industry.
Yeah. And
let me add to that because you guys both make really good points, right? We're all in this industry. We didn't get into this industry to get rich, right? If you get rich along the way, great, but most people don't, right? We get in here because we want to help people, and getting on the floor and talking to people is important. But the new floor is social media. The new floor, your clients are on social media. So knowing how to navigate that and have those conversations, like Brian said, it's very much controlled by people that are not you, right? Only about 10% of your followers are going to see what you post on a regular basis, right? So you have to get really freaking good at being a human. You have to be really good at having conversations with the people who are there, right? So it's automation plus personalization. You just can't take the human out of it. You just can't.
That's right.
In the gyms, get on the floor and talk to the people. If your business is online, get on social media and be social and talk to people, and the platforms will benefit you. They will. If you're social on social media, your reach will expand. More and more people will get recommended to follow you because they need people on there. They want to keep, think about it. They're a business. They want to keep people on these platforms all day long. So if you're on there being social and helping them out, they're going to reward you. So yeah, automation, but personalization. And if you forget that personalization piece, you're going to get beat.
And on that note, I think that's a perfect closing, Brandy. Thank you very much. Automation with personalization. So I thank you guys for joining me. Ted, thank you. Brian, thank you. Brandy and Andrew, I'm so pleased you joined us. I want to thank Sean Senejan, who is our creative director, as well as Daniela Verducci was very excited. She ran her first webinar, and we did good. We did very well with our video. So thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And we'll be sure to send you a recording and put this on a podcast. And thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.